So you can see over here in the project browser that we're looking at the ground floor plan. And we've also got a 3D view open over here. As I'm making changes over here in the floor plan, you'll be able to see the walls and other things appearing over here. So we're going to put in the walls for the bathroom. To get the wall tool, you go right up here, click on wall, and now our cursor has changed to this crosshair, and that indicates that you're ready to start drawing your walls. Click once to indicate where you want it to start, and then you click another time to indicate where you want it to end. And you can see as you're moving your cursor around, you have this sort of outline of the wall that you want to place, and it shows you the length and the angle of the wall. We're going to go up here. And you'll also notice, of course, that walls chain together. The end of one becomes the beginning of the next. As I've drawn those four walls, you will see that they have appeared right over here. You can click on any wall that you've placed, and you'll notice a couple of things. You'll notice that there are these two dots on either end, and these actually you can click and drag them like so, and that will change how the length of your wall. One other thing, like I said, you can change the length of your wall by dragging these handles on the end. You can also change the length of your wall by clicking up here and entering in a new value, 7 feet. However, bear in mind that if you do enter a value here that is too short, say 5 feet, you'll get an indication from Revit that it can't keep these two walls that are highlighted joined together. Basically, that just means that you've changed the length of the wall such that the two walls that we're touching no longer touch, therefore can't be joined together. You can either hit cancel to undo what you have just done, or you can press unjoin, and that's the equivalent of saying okay. That will leave the walls as you have just changed them. Now we'll hit cancel, let it go back to the way that it was. And there's also this symbol here, which is the facing indicator. This will be more important later on. For now, all you need to know is that this facing indicator indicates the exterior face of the wall. Always make sure that this is facing the exterior of your building when you're placing your walls. There are, of course, times when you might not want that to be the case, but for now, just have that be your rule of thumb, and it'll make your life easier later on. And there you have it. Now we're going to learn how to use the door tool. And the door tool is located right up here, just next to walls. Click on that. All right, and right away, when we come down here into the drawing area, you'll see that our cursor has changed again. So now whenever we're near a wall, go a little closer, whenever we're near a wall, you'll see this outline of the door that you want to place. And it tends to snap to the side of the wall that your cursor is closest to. So that will allow us to place the door properly. You'll notice, just looking at this model, that there are a number of different styles. As you can see, here are some doubles, here are some singles, and also different sizes of doors. So to account for this, we're going to have to change door type when we're placing these. We're going to place this one here, so we need a double door. So we're going to go over here, we're going to pick a double glass, 48 by 84. And now you can see that that matches up to the underlay that we've got. And we just click once, there's a door, and you can see it over here in 3D view as well. Now you'll notice that when we place a door like that, we also get this little number that's appeared. Now that's called a tag, and it will appear whenever you place a door by default, or a window. You don't really need to worry about that for now, but those tags will be quite helpful later on when you're dealing with larger projects and you have to deal with more organizational type things. That's one door. Now we're going to go down here, and we're going to place the front door. So we're going to pick the door tool again. And as you can see, this is not a double door, so we're going to have to pick a different type. So we're going to pick one of these single flush doors, a 30 by 84. Go ahead, click, and let's just place one more. Again, this one's a little bit narrower. So we're going to pick one of the 24 by 84s. Now before we place this one, as I said before, the door will tend to snap to the side of the wall your cursor is closest to. But you can also change the swing of the door. That's very easy. You just press the space bar. As you can see, right, just like that. That'll change the swing. Then when you click, now you can change the swing and orientation before you place the door. You can also change it after. Just click on the door, and as you can see, it has these two little arrow symbols, just like with walls. Now if you click this one, it's going to change the swing left to right. Click this one, it's going to change the orientation. It'll swing it across the wall. Also, like doors, you can move these by dragging them. You can move a door just like that. And you can also change the location of the door by clicking one of these temporary dimensions and entering in a new value like so. Okay, let's just put it back. So now we're going to take a look at how to place windows into your model. Before we get started, you may notice that there's a slight problem here. The windows, actually falling within walls, can't be seen because the wall itself is blocking the view of the overlay. So to change that, what we're going to do is we're going to alter our view a little bit. So we're going to actually change this view to be a wireframe. And that, of course, makes the wall see-through, and now we can see the overlay like before. Now we're going to actually place some windows into the wall here, where they're indicated. We're going to look right here, and you can see that there are 3 windows, and of course they are of somewhat different size. Like doors, that means we're going to have to choose some different types. So we go up here to the window tool, which is right next to doors, and right away you can see it looks pretty similar to the door tool. You go down here and you can see the outline of the window that you're going to place, and again it tends to snap to the side of the wall that your cursor is closest to. And like with doors, you go up here and you can see the type of window you're currently looking at. And if we click on this drop-down menu, we can pick a different kind, which is actually what we want to do. So I'm going to pick one of these, 44 by 24. Go over here to where it's indicated, and we just click right there. And you can see, over in the 3D view, our window has popped into existence. Like with doors, you'll notice that windows also come with these little tags. Again, for now, don't worry about these, but they will be quite useful later on when you're dealing with larger projects and you're concerned with schedules and organization and that sort of thing. For now, we're just going to place a couple more windows. We're going to go and grab one of these, 24 by 24, and these are the other 2 windows. So we place one here, and we're going to place our other one right here. And as you can see, they also got their own tags. And you can see them over here in the 3D view. We've got 3 windows. Like with doors, walls, and everything else, they also have their own facing arrows. Right there. Now if you click on that, that will change the orientation of the window. Like with walls, you want this facing arrow to be on the exterior facing so that the trim and the location of the glass relative to the wall will come out correctly.
Here we are going to illustrate how to add some simple roof objects in Revit. We'll start by creating a flat roof. The first consideration is the level at which our roof will have its base. We can do that by navigating to the level, which will be defined as the base. Let's choose the Roof by Footprint tool. We can decide any number of drawing tools. The most useful ones generally for roofs are either Pick Supports or Pick Lines. Let's pick supports. Be sure to unclick Define Slopes since we want all these lines not to be slope defining. And go ahead and pick these walls which define our roof edges. Once other lines are picked, we can clean up the sketch to leave only a closed loop. Using the Trim tool, whose shortcut is TR, we can close gaps and trim excess to leave clean corners. Let's correct this base offset to be 0. So it starts immediately from the workspace level. Now let's try doing the same, except to make a sloped roof. We will place a partial roof over this north wing of the building. We've already set this example up with model lines at the precise locations of the roof boundaries to make it very easy. We'll leave the slope-defined property checked for the 3 boundary lines here that coincide with the building's exterior walls. Let's use the Pick Lines tool and follow these lines. I can shorten these lines by selecting them very much in the same way I can a wall or other linear objects. I can line up the 2 so that they have the same length as indicated by this dotted line. And now with the Draw Line mode, I can connect these 2 points. Let's go in and define the slope. By selecting the line and hovering near the triangle, I can select what now says 9 over 12 inches and change it to 3 inches over 12 inches. However, for this last boundary edge, which is not corresponding to an exterior wall, let's uncheck slope defining since this part of the roof won't slope down. Let's check the 3D view for our results. Notice these walls that tower above the roof. Thanks to the parametric nature of Revit, we can ask these walls to attach to the base of the roof using the Attach Top Base tool. We've done this not so much because this type of partial roof is typically modeled, but rather to demonstrate how we can control which edges are slope defining and which are not. And there we have a peaked or sloped roof which has one non-slope defining edge.